Ozzy Osbourne's own children have repeatedly called him a bad father.
I don't remember being put to bed or bathed or that kind of thing by Dad. I wouldn't say he was there for us, no.
It just pissed me off that Dad never remembered my birthday. It's just a fucking phone call to say happy birthday, Lou.
The Black Sabbath singer never wanted to disappoint his kids. But Ozzy almost ruined his family twice because of his decades-long struggle with addiction. While he was the frontman of a heavy metal band, Ozzy had an infamous reputation for his bad habits, as well as for his shockingly dark antics during the concerts. And that image affected Osbourne as a family man. In his early 20s, Osbourne married his first wife, Thelma. They had 2 kids together, Jessica and Lewis, and Ozzy also adopted Thelma's son, Elliot. At first, Ozzy thought he'd finally settle down, but not for long. The star eventually admitted that his home life was just a mirage, and it all crumbled because of his bad choices. Thelma filed for divorce soon after Osbourne was fired from Black Sabbath, and just like that, Ozzy lost both. His band and his family. It was a real low point in Ozzy's life, and it was all his own fault. The way I treated Thelma, it was wrong. I treated her really badly, and the kids, 2 children. I was a very selfish, self-centered, egotistical guy. Alone and without a job, Osbourne didn't want to live anymore. He planned to end it all for good with the help of his old frenemy, a binge. Then, fate intervened. Ozzy's former manager sent his daughter, Sharon, to check up on the musician. But she did more than that. Sharon convinced Ozzy to pull himself together and start a solo career. Years later, Osbourne admitted that Sharon literally saved his life. She also won his heart. To the surprise of Ozzy's fans and the media, the couple eventually got married. Even more surprising, they welcomed 3 kids, one after the other: Amy, Kelly, and Jack. So thanks to Sharon, Ozzy had a second chance at life and at fatherhood. Still, it was a challenging time for the rocker. Ozzy didn't see much of his children when they were little. His career meant he was away touring or performing for months at a time, and it really bothered him.
The thing is, it's very difficult being like a telephone father because you miss them so much. I'm cutting the touring way back because I've been married twice and I'm fed up of being a telephone father, you know?
By the time his children were in their teens, that changed, and it was all thanks to MTV. The music channel had an idea that would make Ozzy more relatable and give his fans a peek into his home life. A reality TV show called The Osbournes. From the first episode, it was clear that this family was anything but conventional. For starters, it only featured 2 of Sharon and Ozzy's kids. Their eldest daughter, Amy, who was 16 at the time, decided to drop out of school and leave home rather than join her siblings on screen. What viewers saw on The Osbournes was difficult to process. Ozzy was inebriated in almost every episode of the first season, and he wasn't alone. Sadly, the vocalist passed on his bad habits to his kids. Jack and Kelly were just 14 and 15 when they made their television debut, but both frequently partied, drank, and even tried heavier stuff. Over the course of the series, fans watched Kelly and Jack make the same bad choices that nearly ruined their father's life. Ozzy was powerless to help his children because he was battling his own demons. Thankfully, he had a secret weapon: Sharon. His wife had stood by him through the worst of it. Sharon even stayed with him after he nearly took her life while under the influence. Despite all this, the show brought some good to the family. By the final season, Ozzy was sober.
I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do dope anymore. I'm pretty boring now.
But it took a lot to get to that point. Ozzy's sobriety was partly inspired by his kids, who decided to kick their own habits after hitting rock bottom. The Osbournes' youngest son, Jack, was the first to get help. And once he was clean, Jack addressed his dad's awful parenting.
You've never ever wanted for a f***ing thing from the moment you took your first breath. He went, oh yeah? What about a father? And that hit me straight between the eyes.
Sadly, Ozzy's sobriety only lasted for 7 years. He relapsed in 2012, and it was the final straw for his wife. Sharon was no longer prepared to save him. Instead, she gave him an ultimatum. If he didn't clean up his act, he'd lose her forever. Sharon kept her word. Ozzy went to rehab and she stood by him. But 3 years later, that changed. It had nothing to do with substances and everything to do with Ozzy's other addiction, extramarital activities. Despite everything she'd done to save her husband, his career, and their marriage, Sharon learned that Ozzy had been cheating on her. She could not handle that betrayal.
I was just really broken in every sense.
Sharon immediately moved out and was in the process of filing for divorce when Ozzy begged her to come back. He swore he'd get help and promised to make everything right. The idea of losing his wife and biggest supporter was exactly the push Ozzy needed to finally change his behavior for good. It worked. To celebrate, the couple renewed their vows in 2017, 35 years after their wedding, and Ozzy has been clean since then. It has radically changed his relationships with all of his children. Being sober gives them hope I'm here to stay. My relationship with my kids now is great. This doesn't mean that the Osbourne family no longer faces any challenges. 3 years ago, they received terrible news. Ozzy was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. The condition is genetic, but that hasn't stopped many of the musician's haters calling the diagnosis divine punishment for Ozzy's past behavior. The news was a massive blow to his family, especially since Ozzy had turned a corner. However, they are trying to see the bright side.
And it's just reaffirmed how much we all love each other and how strong we are.
Ozzy's deteriorating health has made him appreciate his family more than ever. He knows his days are numbered, and he's determined to make up for his past and be a great dad. And he's getting it right. Despite the challenges Ozzy's career posed to his parenting when he was younger, all of his kids have inherited his talent and become valuable members of the entertainment industry. His daughter from his first marriage, Jessica, is an actress, while her brother Louis is making waves as a DJ, and Elliot works as a theater artist. They're not alone. Ozzy and Sharon's eldest girl, Amy, is the vocalist of a band called Arrow, and she's also branching out in acting. And her proud dad regularly shares her music to his social media pages. Jack and Kelly's careers followed a similar route. Kelly broke into the music business with a cover of Madonna's Papa Don't Preach to honor her dad, before becoming a talk show host like her mom. Jack helped Ozzy with the production side of several of his later albums, and they even decided to create a second reality TV series together, called Ozzy and Jack's World Detour. Ozzy's children, Jack and Jessica, also made him a grandpa, with each adding 3 more Osbournes to the brood. And Ozzy loves this new role.
I am about to be a father, and they're about to be
Seriously?
The whole big blended family enjoys spending holidays together. Ozzy hasn't had the easiest parenting journey, but he has learned a lot. Now, he finally has the chance to be the kind of dad he always dreamed of, and his kids agree that he's doing a great job of it.
I think it's the first time he's proud of himself.
It just goes to show you, no matter what mistakes you make raising your child, it's never too late to become a better parent. It's hard work, but family is the best anchor.